Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by 8 Sleep. It is the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues. I'll tell you more about them later on in today's show, but do make note you can get $200 off and free shipping on the Pod 3 cover by 8 Sleep over at 8sleep.com/chatsports. Now on today's show, we are trying to create the perfect mock draft and plan for the Cowboys in the 2024 NFL Draft. So to a certain extent, I have ensured that the board fell the right way in terms of being able to maximize my Cowboys draft haul. I'm not taking Joe Alt in round 1. I'm not getting too crazy, but I am, maybe I fudged a couple spots there from that perspective. Now, I think step 1 here is trading down. And I did this trade in the PFF Mock Draft Simulator. It's a little bit more in my favor, but I will take it. This does mean I will trade down and away from one of those, maybe one or two of the better offensive linemen. I probably have to settle. I might not be able to get one of the tackles that I like so much. But I'm getting an extra third and an extra 4th-round pick. This team needs multiple starters out of this draft class. And the best way to help ensure that is extra shots at it, extra draft capital. You're never going to bat 1,000. Rather have 7 shots or 9 shots at it. Do you want to trade down in the first round? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off in the comments section. So in round 1, I don't think you're going to get one of those top tackles, Mims or Fuaga or Tanu to fall to you. I'll take Jackson Powers-Johnson. And in a way, if it's the perfect mock draft, I am simply recreating the Travis Frederick pick all over again. Trade down to 31 to take the center, right? No sacks allowed, no hits allowed. The medical does have to be vetted. That's the biggest concern right now for Jackson Powers-Johnson. Heard some whispers of a hip tear. He's got some concussion stuff, the hamstring at the Senior Bowl this year, battled some injuries this past year as well. But he played really well. He was really good for Oregon this year. Didn't get beat hardly ever. So if the medical checks out, there's your new 10-year center in theory for the Dallas Cowboys. So who do you want to draft in round 1? Trade down or stay pat, whatever. Sound off at the pin comment of today's video, especially if that ad comes here on YouTube. Just ignore the ad. Go vote instead. I actually thought about moving up in round 2, but I'm just going to stand pat and take the healthier top linebacker in this class, Edgerrin Cooper. For what Mike Zimmer, I think, likes in a linebacker, I think a lot of those benchmarks and goals and stuff can be hit with the Texas A&M playmaker. He has really good length, 34-inch arms, so room to add some more size to it, by the way. He's long, he's athletic, and he was fantastic as a blitzer this past season. 8 sacks, 17 TFLs. His production went up in the correct direction every single season. I think overall he is a solid processor, room to get better, but has a better, benchmark than some of the guys we may have seen in recent years. I do think this team wants to get a linebacker. In general, I don't have a lot of round 2 grades, so I will take one of them here in Edgerrin Cooper. 3rd round, pick number 87. I'll take Blake Fisher, out of Notre Dame. Only just turned 21 years old. He spent most of his time on the right side for the Fighting Irish, but I think he has enough functional athleticism and especially length, fits the Cowboys' preferences. There are 34 and 3/8-inch arms there, to potentially play on the left side. By the way, he was going to be the left tackle back in 2021. He unfortunately got hurt, and then Joe Alt arrived, and it's like, oh, okay, it's Joe Alt then. Again, I don't think he's an elite athlete. There's enough functionality there to survive. And I think as just being able to help a team right now, he's probably better than some of the bigger, freakier athletes that will go even earlier than him along the offensive line. As we mentioned, today's show is made possible by 8 Sleep. Did you know that sleep science shows in order to sleep our best, our body temperature must drop in the early and middle part of sleep and rise in the morning? The 8 Sleep Pod 3 cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover is added to any bed like a fitted sheet is and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed by as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. There is no better way to improve your day-to-day life than with better sleep. And the easiest way is with the 8 Sleep Pod 3 cover. The pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics, by the way. And on average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. So go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. Start the new year right and invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Now, maybe I can stretch the truth and pretend that Jonathan Brooks will fall to me in the third. I'll keep it a little bit more realistic here. I'll take Jaylen Wright out of Tennessee. Maybe he's not a true workhorse back. That's fine. The explosiveness, the athletic ability, everything is there for Jaylen Wright. 5'10 and a half, 210 pounds, ran a 4.38 40-yard dash. From a purely athletic perspective, do you know what one of his closest athletic comps is? Like not like just overall impact, etc. The two closest ones are Miles Sanders, maybe a bit more realistic, and Reggie Bush. That we're talking freakazoid athletes here. Now, his offense, Tennessee, didn't feature any real stacked boxes, but for a big play threat, that's what I like in the backfield. Jaylen Wright offers that. Let's go to the 4th round here. I'm going to take DeWayne Carter out of Duke. Really intriguing player who I thought was definitely better last year. But at 6'2 and a half, almost 303 pounds, there's some really good athletic ability. The agility wasn't that great, but you don't always need great agility from that perspective. Coaches are going to be big fans. He was a 3-time captain, by the way, at Duke. To borrow a phrase from Jason Garrett, trigger alert, or trauma warning, whatever you call it. This is a RKG. This is the right kind of guy that you'll have to have. Natural leverage at his size. Is a good athlete. He almost played baseball at Duke. As a defensive tackle. He would have played catcher and first base, which is kind of funny from that perspective. Very active, high-energy football player. I think the flashes of high-end player there. And in a DT class that I don't love that much, I like getting Carter in the 4th. We will be live for the 2024 NFL Draft. We'll have all the coverage you need here, the news, the picks, the trades, and more. So if you haven't already, please do me a favor. Hit that sub button right now. Let's go to the 5th round here. One of my preferred prospects in this range, and I hope they take him in real life. Gabriel Murphy out of UCLA. I think he is an undervalued player. The one big concern you got here, the arm length is bad. 30 and a half inches. It's just not very good length. 61 pressures was right up there alongside Latu, Braylon Trice as an somewhat at least under length edge rusher. Fantastic athlete. Feasts on stunts. I think could fit really well then with what the Cowboys have personnel-wise. Very productive going from UNT to UCLA. I think there's a lot of ability here, and I think I could use another pass rusher with my limited depth overall. I'll happily take a guy with upside in the 5th. I'm going to double dip at defensive tackle because I've got the ability to do so with my extra picks this year. And I'm going to get another nose guard option. I think Mike Zimmer would like to have a second piece. That's Khristian Boyd, the defensive tackle out of Northern Iowa. Again, the length is not great here either. Like most, 330-pound human beings, he's not great athletic testing because the guys that do test like that end up going in the Jordan Davis range there. Big competition jump coming, but he's able to hold up against the double teams. Could actually be a nice pairing at nose guard with Mozzie Smith. Boyd can be just your hulking. I'm going to take on these double teams and maybe allow Mozzie to use some of his more athletic gifts that Boyd doesn't quite have in the same fashion. So you need defensive tackle depth right now. You've got 3 NFL players on your roster. Sorry, Carl Davis. Let's get another one there. Now, what do you think is the bigger need at this time for the Dallas Cowboys? Which side of the ball needs more help? O for offense or D for defense? One of the, I think, pre-draft risers, so to speak, is Bub Means out of Pitts. The production was only okay, 721 yards. There is some kick return background here. I think he was definitely held back by the quarterback play. Now, we, by the way, also got up to 227 at his pro day, which was weird to me from a sizing perspective. Over 40% of his targets came 20 yards downfield. He ran a 4.43 40-yard dash at 6'1", 212. He fits the profile player you don't have. You don't have that bigger body, fast, vertical threat. Bub Means, I got a 6th-round grade on him. I think it makes a lot of sense for Dallas if you were to be able to get him there. 7th round, by the way, I will make note, all of these day 3 guys were there for me in the PFF Sim. So, I rigged it a little bit early on. Jaylen Wright was there. Actually, I guess everyone after Jaylen Wright and beyond was there for me. Jaylan Ford was also there for me out of Texas. I'm going to double dip at linebacker because I need bodies here. And at minimum, Ford can be an impactful special teams player for me. Almost 800 snaps on special teams in his time. I don't love him in coverage. The athletic ability is pretty darn intriguing, all things considered. He's a bigger guy at 240 than some of these other linebackers. But beyond that, I think I'm filling a bunch of holes, at least giving myself depth later on. So my perfect Cowboys mock draft with some rigging of the election with the first 3 picks. But hey, they said CeeDee Lamb and Trayvon Diggs would never be there. So let me dream a little bit here. Jackson Powers-Johnson, Edgerrin Cooper, Blake Fisher, Jaylen Wright, DeWayne Carter, Gabriel Murphy, Khristian Boyd, Bub Means, and Jaylan Ford out of Texas. So we'll do pass-fail for this mock draft. Does it pass your expectations and goals, or does it fail? P for pass, F for fail in the comments section.